How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing?
Joe Walsh here, 88.5 FM. Welcome to the show. It is December 12th, 12/12/2020. It is the 346th day of the year. And I looked up this day in history, and it's pretty uneventful, except for this. On December 12th, 1957, Jerry Lee Lewis, you know him from Great Balls of Fire and Whole Lot of Shaking Going On. 23-year-old Jerry Lee Lewis secretly marries his 13-year-old cousin, Myra Gale Brown. It was Jerry's third marriage at 23 years of age. That's a pretty early start. It was kind of complex because he was still married to his first two wives when he married his third wife, his first cousin, once removed. And that means it's your first cousin's daughter. And his first cousin happened to be the bass player in his band. Now, in 1957, having three wives and marrying your third wife, who's 13, that was not okay. That was frowned upon. So, there you go. On this day in history, December 12th. So, revisiting the 50s, courtesy of Jerry Lee, got me thinking. It's been on my short list to do a show of my favorite records from the 50s. So, this is Joe Walsh's Golden Oldies Show, my top favorite records, starting 1953 up to 59. This stuff was of great influence to me and the musician I became. I hope you enjoy it. Here we go.
Hey gang, you know what time it is? It's time for another Ask Joe question.
This question is from Patty in Newfoundland. Hi Joe, what is the smallest venue you have ever played? Would you consider playing in Newfoundland? I know we would all love to see it. Thanks, Patty.
Hey Patty, how you doing? Thanks for the question. You know, I can't really think of the smallest venue I've ever played. But I do remember one show. The James Gang played somewhere in Pennsylvania at a small venue, and it was a blinding snowstorm, started in the afternoon, and by showtime, about 15 people had showed up. But we went ahead and played anyway. I tell you what, I would love to play Newfoundland, and that probably will be the smallest venue I ever play. Thanks. 88.5 FM, Joe Walsh here. The next song you're going to hear is from 1958. It's called Chantilly Lace by the Big Bopper. The Big Bopper and Buddy Holly and Richie Valens all died in a private plane crash outside of Mason City, Iowa. They were on tour, and it was really bad weather. Waylon Jennings was a band member in Buddy Holly's band, and he gave up his seat to go on the tour bus. The plane crash was February 3rd of 1959. I remember being in the basement of my parents' house in Columbus, Ohio, and the announcement came over the radio that Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper had died in a plane crash, and I remember it graphically, and I'm still sad. 88.5 FM, Joe Walsh here. The next song you're going to hear from 1959 is called The Big Hurt by Tony Fisher. And if you listen closely, you're going to hear something called flanging, which was an effect two guys from Gold Star Studios in Hollywood came up with. It sounds kind of like a jet airplane or something. And this is the first time we hear it. Later on, the Small Faces did it with Itchy Coo Park. It's a process of running two tape machines with the same song on it, almost synced together, but not quite. And you hear the difference between the two machines. And of course, later on, Jimi Hendrix did it a lot. And I think Eagles did it at the end of Hotel California. It's called flanging. Give it a listen.
Hey, gang, you know what time it is? It's time for another Ask Joe question.
This next question is from Scott Porter, and Scott doesn't know where he's from. Through all the years and places and all the music, what and where is your favorite place and venue to perform? Just curious. Scott Porter. P.S. Love your show. Makes my Saturday night.
Hey, Scott, how you doing? Thanks for the question. Without a doubt, the best place to play rock and roll ever was the Grandee Ballroom in Detroit. And anybody who ever played there will say the same thing. You could look it up on the internet. It's got an amazing story and an amazing history. Grandee Ballroom. It's not there anymore, sadly. So my other favorite place to play is Red Rocks outside of Denver, up in the mountains. It's a natural amphitheater, and there's nothing like playing there at night when the stars are out. It's pretty much a holy place, and they build a stage there. It's profound to play. Okay, I hope I answered your question. 88.5 FM, Joe Walsh here. Next song you're going to hear is from Screamin' Jay Hawkins. It's called I Put a Spell on You. The entire band was intoxicated during a recording session, along with Hawkins, and he just screamed and grunted and gurgled his way through the tune. The resulting performance became his greatest commercial success and surpassed 1 million copies in sales. Although Hawkins himself blacked out and was able to remember the session, he relearned the song from the recording. And there you go. Here's Screamin' Jay Hawkins.
Hey, gang, you know what time it is? It's time for another Ask Joe question.
This next question is from Ed Torres, and Ed doesn't know where he's from either. Hi, Joe. Which Fender would you suggest as a first electric guitar? Stratocaster or Telecaster? Thanks, man. Ed.
Hey, Ed, how you doing? Thanks for the question. I recommend a Fender Telecaster, dude. A used one, pre-70s. Don't get a new one. Go to music stores and play them. And the one that's yours, you'll know it when you play it. Deal with a Stratocaster later on, but start with a Fender Tele. You can't go wrong. Get on YouTube. There's great Tele players on it. And that's all you need to know to learn. 88.5 FM, Joe Walsh here on the 12-12-2020 show. And there you have it, 30 of my favorite oldies from the 50s. I hope you enjoyed that. Let's treat that like side A of a vinyl album. And now we'll turn the album over, and for the rest of the show, let's listen to side B. Kind of a collage I put together. We'll go out that way. Happy anniversary, Marjorie. I love you. Hope the vaccine shows up pretty soon. In the meantime, wash your hands, wear your masks, and God bless us all. See you next week.
Hey, gang, you know what time it is? It's time for another Ask Joe question.
This question is from Jim K. from Allentown. Hi, Joe. I saw the James Gang open for The Who at the Spectrum in Philadelphia sometime in the early 70s. What was it like being on tour with those guys? Thanks, Jim.
Hey, Jim, how you doing? Good question. The James Gang opened for The Who at the Syrian Mosque Theater in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They were performing Tommy the Rock Opera, premiering it in the United States, and they just happened to come early that night, and they heard us play. And we partied after the show, and we really bonded. We became really good friends, and we became kind of a traveling circus community. We ended up opening for them in the United States, And then they took us to Europe, and we opened for them in Europe when they premiered the Tommy opera. The scariest thing that ever happened to me was that Keith Moon decided he really liked me. And he had this bad habit of coming to your hotel room and not leaving, like for 3 or 4 days. But he taught me the fine art of hotel room destruction and anarchy and chaos, rock and roll, craziness in general. We pretty much owe our success to Peter Townsend and The Who. That Tommy tour broke us wide open, and Peter said some wonderful things about me. We continue to be friends to this day, Peter and Roger. And there you go. Thanks.